Information retrieved from the Mark II's computers has at least partially corroborated my counterpart's story. Navigational logs confirm that the ship was in Sector 001 the day of the first Borg invasion in 2367. You still don't sound convinced. But you should never doubt what nobody is sure about, Lieutenant. In any case, I also recovered visual records that confirm it was in close proximity to the Borg ship for an extended period, among other things.
Let's see it.
I thought you'd never ask. I did the best I could, but there wasn't a lot to work with.
Understood. Proceed.
So we were there, or at least some future version of us. Have you been able to verify any other parts of his story? Not yet. We sent probes to both the Beta Reticuli system and to Beta Stromgren, but there's no sign of an underground laboratory or what he described as a starship replicator in either location. Hard to imagine anything that could replicate a whole starship. I'd give a lot for a look at it if it was real. Oh, it's real. That oddity in the molecular structure that I noticed aboard the Mark II is consistent with matter replication, but on a scale far beyond anything I've ever seen. In any case, between information from the computer and listening to my counterpart's story, I've been able to reconstruct the sequence of events that led up to where and when we are, and there's a lot more to it than we thought. It all started here, when another of my counterparts opened Pandora's box and began experimenting with time travel. And, as tends to happen when you start messing around with time, something went wrong, and instead of being sent back a few years like he'd planned, he was thrown back decades, giving us the first alternate timeline. The radiation almost killed him, and he spent years recuperating. Then some kind of accident in Sector 585 caused that entire timeline to collapse in on itself, altering history again. Then that timeline continued until late 2399, which is when things get complicated. You mean they weren't complicated already? I'll ignore that. According to my counterpart, there was some kind of temporal disaster that annihilated space-time in 2399, leading our future selves to come back in time to repair the damage. That led them here, back to 2378. Then, for reasons which aren't entirely clear, they went back even further, and ended up in 2367 on the eve of the first Borg invasion of Earth, right after Wolf 359. Then they returned to their present, and for all we know, they lived happily ever after. Whatever happened, it's likely that in preventing the temporal disaster, they created yet another alternate timeline. That can't be right. Can it? Is one of those timelines ours? History's been altered so many times, there's no way to be sure. For all I know, this could be just one branching history among dozens. Or this could be the timeline that was supposed to happen if it hadn't been for all this. I hate temporal mechanics.
Forgive me, Doctor, but you neglected to answer the question. Do you have some theory, any theory, about where and when we are in relation to all that?
The likeliest explanation, based on what we know, is that we are here. But as to whether this now is the correct one or not, I can't say.
I'm not certain any of us could make that determination. The flow of time itself hangs in the balance.
Even Asimov wouldn't touch this one. What's the responsible thing to do here? Keep it from happening again, for a start.
Well, whatever our course of action, we need more information about what's happened to make an ethical choice.
Maybe our guest could shed some light on things.
Doctor, how is the patient?
Please activate monitor input 47, your emergency medical holographic channel.
Of course.
Thank you. You know, Captain, if it's your intention that I contribute, you really should include me from the start.
I'll take that under advisement, Doctor. Report.
The patient is recovering nicely. At the moment, he's resting comfortably, but he's expressed a desire to assist with the investigation. He says he's anxious to uncover what happened and begin looking for a way back to where he belongs.
Have you made any progress with the analysis of his DNA?
Not so far. Every test I run yields the same result. Massive DNA fragmentation, with badly misaligned base pair sequences as far as the microscopic eye can see. I'm no closer to understanding the phenomenon or how to reverse it. Have you discovered anything of note? Anything anomalous? There are traces of synthetic materials in his blood and several major organs that I haven't been able to account for. Perhaps a submolecular scan might reveal something.
Make it so, Doctor. In the meantime, Merv, I want you to take an engineering detail back to the Mark II and attempt to get the main computer online. If there is an answer to all this, it's likely to be found there.
Aye, sir.
That'll be all.